Aloha. So I want to talk about perfect and blameless. Because I think it is important to understand how in the scriptures the word perfect does not mean blemishless or, that kind of idealistic, aesthetic, or legalistic kind perfection. And is much more speaking to like a wholeness or a fullness or completeness, which is similar, but there is difference. We moderns especially tend to look at perfect as being divine or supernatural or somewhere on that spectrum. It is an unattainable, godly, beyond us feat that we strive towards frivolously, I guess. It's pretty widely recognized that this is impossible for us to reach. That perfection is impossible, and I think that's affected the way that we read the scriptures, and in so doing, affected how it's impacted in a negative way what we can take from the scriptures and from Yeshua's words, especially regarding perfectness and becoming complete and whole and full. And in society that manifests, you see Superman and these superheroes that pop up, because our conception of perfection is that type of perfection. You can't kill him. You can't. He can do anything. It's this. It's not the true form of perfection that actually is a part of our reality. That form of perfection is non-existent, and so the only way to it's non-existent within creation. I'll say that. And so to be able to, if that's your notion of perfection, the only way to put it forward as an example to emulate is by a Superman or some kind of superhero kind of figure, or else it's pretty hard to point at and say do that. When the scriptures use the word perfect, they're not talking about this notion of perfect, this blemishless or divinity level perfection. What's more is, and going further in the wrong direction, then this just kind of botched or misguided conception of perfection that makes us idolize at worst, a superhero or a Superman type of figure, or to lean into that as perfection and to miss the point of perfection being completeness, being the intention of my creation. Going even further than that in the wrong direction is many religions, and it might be due to the global impact that continues of Gnosticism, of of this body not being important, and not just not important, but it's a problem, and it's what's causing the imperfection. And it goes further than that. That it's the point of these religions is to strip off and cut away and diminish as much humanity as you possibly can. It's to become nothing, and within that is, enlightenment or nirvana or what have you. The enlightenment and nirvana you have on one end, more Eastern end, and then Stoicism has this emulation of the Logos and completely living within the Logos, which is to cut out a lot, to say the least. When passion is intrinsically a bad thing, and various natural human things are seen as a bad thing, then that's what's going to follow is you need to get rid of this stuff, and you need to become less than that. And the less humanity that you have, the more you are the sage, I guess, would be a way of saying it. I'm trying not to mischaracterize or make that a bigger deal than it actually is. But that's the goal. That's the telos of a lot of those things. To where this is the opposite of the Christian perspective. We are called to become fully human. And so this process, going through refinement's fire, as we follow the way of Christ, of Hashem, it's to become more and more human. In our fallen state, we are less than human. It's not that we're too human. We're not the fullness of it. And that's what causes these problems. And so it's the name of the game of the Christian faith is becoming the fullness of human, becoming your design, who you were designed to be. To, by grace, abandon this tainted version and blossom it into completeness. And in that is perfection. And so in this way, I would say that perfection is like righteousness, and righteousness will have its own video. I think it's the next one. I'll have to check the list, but I think it's the next one because it's the last one that is nested in love. So after that one, then we'll be moving on to conditional word. What is this, 4? So we'll finally get to conditional word 5. But yeah, so righteousness is first and foremost right relationship with Hashem, the creator and king of the universe. It's neither first nor foremost right behavior that is enacted in the physical world. It necessarily begins with relationship, and its end result is naturally an outpouring of behavior that reflects the relationship or the appreciation and smittenness and the effect of it, or the security that comes from being in this place, in this relationship, and how we always talk about rose tinted glasses, and it's like the vision giving glasses that relationship gives you, and then you see everything else with. But it's first that relationship before you get that change of vision, to where that change of vision reorients your entire decision-making process and mode of operation. Right relationship alone inspires and necessitates and creates right behavior, in that order. You can't get to right relationship by focusing on right behavior. The order matters immensely, like PEMDAS or whatever. Which I would say brings us to the supremacy of Telos alongside relationship. Telos will have its own series. Probably won't be as long as love, but it'll have its own conditional word part, number, point, whatever number, however many there is in it, if the Almighty wills it. But hopefully, I do see Telos to be the desire, the ambition, the internal dialogue, the root why and point of what you're doing, not just what you're doing, of why you're doing it and what you're trying to get out of it. I think we've lost the plot on that quite a bit, and I'll be talking about that. Kind of mentioned this already, but to be made perfect is to be made fully human. Because to us humans, perfection is, it quite simply means to be fully human, to fully be our design. Like I said, it's not this, I don't know where this other notion of perfection as blemishless and, I get it. As I say that, I stop because I get it. But at the same time, I don't know how it snuck into the world as well, because what do we have to point to that? What is there that is perfection that gave us the idea that we should be perfect in that way? Which it's and it does entail a kind of blemishlessness, because it entails a departure from sin and from the flesh and from error, and so from all form of evil. In a stoic way, that understanding that you never reach the sage, but you must spend your entire life reaching the sage, kind of thing. So it's that, but it's first and foremost being made complete and whole. Before those things are an outpouring of being made whole. You can't become whole by cutting out your sin nature or your error or whatever, because we can't do that. And so the path to that is the other way. You have to become whole to be able to get rid of those things, or to cut them down, or to evermore cut them down as you continue your journey forward. The problem is that we are lacking, and we are less than our true selves, the persons Hashem designed, which manifests as immaturity and unrighteousness. And so this manifests as sin and evil. So it doesn't necessarily solve surface level problems. Because technically it's largely, perfection still means to be, it simultaneously means to be without error. Like that is true at the same time of this completeness, because it is a byproduct of completeness, and so it is entailed in that. And it doesn't immediately solve this wrong behavior problem. And so at the surface level, it may seem like you're putting off the immediate, and not dealing with the kind. But in reality, these are symptoms of sick roots, of toxic roots, I guess, would be a good way of thinking about that. And so, like, yes, you're not extensively, because you have to deal with that stuff, but you're not extensively dealing with that and focusing on that, because you know that it's actually the roots that are causing this. And so this has to be contained to an extent. You have to get a grip on these things, but to get them out, to weed them out, you have to deal with the roots. You have to change your desires and your telos, and you have to change that desire specifically. You have to change that desire to a love for Hashem. And I don't mean a love for Hashem as like willing up love. No, I mean like a relational, like being in love, falling in love. And completeness comes from that. And blemishlessness comes from that. And so you have to engage this in the right way. Start in the depths and work your way back to the surface and see what good it does. I would say, so in that point, I guess, there is this surface level that a lot of people focus on, and that's perfection, that's blemishlessness. But if you have eyes to see, understanding these roots, the power that these roots have, despite maybe not seeming like that way. Maybe this seems like the obvious thing that needs to be dealt with. But with those who have eyes to see, they can see that the root is causing this. And so I'd say that this understanding actually reveals quite a bit of the point of life and the game that we're actually playing amidst life, which is a big thing. And is a facet of becoming whole, I guess. So we are at the same time returning to, and for the very first time becoming, our fullness. It's a juxtaposition or a paradox in that way, that it is a return, but it's a return to somewhere that we've never been before. So I'd say, just as the book of Job reveals to us, Hashem is unendingly at work in mysteriously negative and positive ways to make us perfect, to perfect us, to make us whole, to finish creating us, to refine and purify and nurture and mature us into what we were designed to be. I would say it's an ineffable thing, but that perhaps that is the God Telos, is to perfect us and to make us whole and to finish creating us and to refine and purify and nurture and mature us into what we were designed to be. To fill us to our fullness. And so I would say, therefore, through love and in love and for love, become perfect and complete lacking in nothing, knowing in a deepest place and in a relational way that you are wholly loved by the full love of the holy lover. Yeah, simple as. Just be the beloved. And be perfect. Aloha.